What actually is woke? Does it have an actual definition? Originally, being woke meant that you were not asleep and thus unaware in regards to issues like systemic racism and other social injustices. Being woke was supposed to be a good thing. In recent years, conservatives have started using woke to basically mean anything, even a little bit progressive, that we don't like. Most conservatives can't actually give you a definition for it. They just know it when they see it. Woke is supposed to refer to racism or other social injustice. The idea is that there's a ton of everyday and systemic racism built into society that's more than just obvious white supremacists marching in the streets. Once you recognize that these racist elements exist, it's like you've suddenly woken up and are now much more aware of it all. Just as a brief example, redlining was the idea that cities would have certain neighborhoods for middle-upper-class white people and then neglected neighborhoods for black people, and later these systems were often reinforced physically. Sometimes highways were built between the neighborhoods, cementing the inequality between them. These details are often invisible to you, but you start to see the world differently once you're woke to them. However, as that phrase caught on the left, the right decided to start calling everything not conservative woke. They established the term woke as a bogeyman, and then expanded its definition to include anything they don't like, because arguing against something's merits was a lot harder than just labeling it woke, which means it's against your values, and therefore evil. Woke was originally an African American term to mean you were awake to the injustices such as systemic poverty and brutal policing. It has since been co-opted by conservatives to mean anything they don't like. Unattractive women? Woke. Black or gay characters? Woke. Reproductive rights? Woke. Police reform? Woke. It intentionally lets voters fill in the blanks of whatever they specifically don't like and makes for an effective trigger word. It used to have a meaning, but it's now just anything that doesn't line up with the specific right-wing political commentator you're listening to's personal opinions. Woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular English of meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. 12 Beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities such as racial injustice, sexism, and denial of LGBT rights. Woke has also been used as shorthand for some ideas of the American left involving identity politics and social justice, such as white privilege and reparations for slavery in the United States. 345 https://n.m.wikipedia.org Wiki-woke. Woke is a sh-moo. It is whatever the right wing needs it to be. The enemy is both weak and strong. https. Originally, it just meant that you were awake and aware of systematic social injustices. For example, a Confederate flag-waving person who learns about the reasons the Civil War began slavery and no longer waves the flag would be considered woke. It's a silly niche term, at least originally. But it just means being against racism, sexism, and homophobia when your typical Trumpite utters it. I think it is being aware that mechanisms are or were in place in society that were designed to benefit white people over other minorities, even though they do not explicitly say they work to this benefit. That systemic racism has ripple effects generations after the laws or exclusion ended, because poverty is a cycle that is difficult to break. Basically, woke is being aware that there are underlying conditions that lead to current situations of people, and it's never just a simple answer like they are lazy, and that's why they are poor. About 7-ish years ago, woke was a word used in the black community, and its meaning was, stay aware of your surroundings, because the deck is stacked against us. Bigots heard blacks say this, mocked it, and bastardized it to its current definition. Anything that does not celebrate straight white me is woke and evil. It basically means awareness and acknowledgement of minorities. The way I see it, nowadays it's just a buzzword used by bigots when a minority has any representation in anything. It used to be an empowering thing for black people, and its meaning was to stay woke to the injustice going on around them. Stay alert, speak out. That's what woke meant. But bigots have just turned it into a buzzword to mean this thing has minority representation, and that's bad. My rule of thumb is, nobody who uses the word woke unironically is worth taking seriously, because I don't think anybody uses it in a positive light anymore. It's just a buzzword that was ruined by shitty people. Conservatives use it as shorthand for any liberal or left-wing. They don't differentiate position. I understand it as, and have used it as, being awake to societal forces which cause injustice. We are generally raised not to see injustice that doesn't affect us, or just to accept it as normal. Becoming woke is about being aware it exists, is wrong, and should be worked against. If you hear someone use woke as a pejorative, that's their way of letting you know they are racist and hate the gays. It's great because you can forever disregard anything else they say. They've outed themselves as a complete moron. When someone or some entity adopts and or supports trendy nonsense beliefs or causes to raise their social status, also making showy displays of insincere empathy while in reality being quite unempathetic, very fake and putting high importance on the superficial. A dictionary definition is simply the dictionary company's best approximation of how a word is used. Dictionaries do not dictate what a word means. They are descriptive, not prescriptive. So there is no actual definition for any word. There is just how people use the word and the ways in which dictionaries describe how the words are used. Woke originally meant alert to racial discriminations and prejudice. But that got expanded to all forms of discriminations and prejudice. New way of saying politically correct. Whatever the right wing doesn't like. Not asleep, as in I just woke up. When the right uses that term, what they are really saying, some without realizing it, is anyone who isn't straight and white don't deserve to have the same rights as they do.